Is Apple really about to release its boldest and possibly most controversial iPhone design yet? Leaks around the iPhone 17 series are starting to pile up, and while some of the changes are exciting, others are already splitting opinions. And one thing is clear: Apple isn't just tweaking this year, they're shaking things up in a big way. Let's start with what might be the most noticeable change. The iPhone 17 Plus could be gone. Instead, Apple is said to be launching a brand new model called the iPhone 17 Air. This version is rumored to be super thin, just 5.4 millimeters thick. That would make it one of the slimmest iPhones ever. But recent case listings suggest that once you slap a silicone case on it, the thinness isn't quite as dramatic. Still, the design is slimmer than anything Apple has offered in years, but that's just the beginning. The real stir is coming from the Pro models. For years, Apple's iPhone Pro designs have looked nearly identical. Not anymore. Leaked renders now show a huge camera island on the iPhone 17 Pro. And we're not talking a small bump. This camera block nearly stretches edge to edge. It still houses the usual triple lens setup, but the entire module is now much bulkier. Online users have already started reacting. Some say it looks bold, others are not holding back, calling it the ugliest iPhone they've ever seen. Comments like, "It's enough to make me consider Android," are popping up on Reddit. It's clear the new look is going to be one of those love it or hate it situations. But before you write it off as just a design fail, there's actually a practical reason behind the bulky camera. Apple is rumored to be upgrading the telephoto camera from 12 megapixels to a 48 megapixel periscope lens. And here's why that matters. The new camera could support up to 10x lossless zoom. That would be a major jump for the iPhone, and a serious challenge to phones like the Galaxy S24 Ultra. However, more megapixels usually means smaller pixels, which can make low-light photos worse. Apple ran into this issue before with the iPhone 16 Pro's ultra-wide camera. They increased the resolution but didn't change the sensor size, and it hurt performance in the dark. This time, Apple might be solving that problem by using a larger sensor for the telephoto lens. Bigger. Sensors can pull in more light, making night shots look better, but they also need more room inside the phone. And since Apple's special tetraprism lens system can't expand outward, the only solution is to rotate the camera system sideways inside the body. That layout shift likely explains the odd new shape of the camera island. And it also raises another question. What happened to the LiDAR sensor? It's been a part of the Pro models for a while now, and it looks like it's getting moved to a new spot. Possibly the strange empty space that shows up in the leaked renders. So, even though the new design might not look great to everyone, is Samsung finally ready to bring back its Exynos chip in a big way? For years, Samsung has struggled to keep its Exynos processors on par with Qualcomm's Snapdragon chips. But now, new reports suggest the Exynos 2600 might actually power the Galaxy S26 series, and this time, it could be a real contender. Just a short while ago, many believed that the Galaxy S26 series would go fully with Snapdragon, just like what happened with the Galaxy S25. The main reason? Samsung's own chip factory couldn't produce enough reliable chips at the time, but things are changing, and fast. The issue wasn't really about the chip itself, but more about how it was made. The Exynos 2500, which was supposed to be Samsung's big return, got dropped from the Galaxy S25 lineup because Samsung Foundry, the part of the company that makes chips, was having a hard time producing enough of them. The yield rates, the number of usable chips made per batch, just weren't high enough. But that's improving now. According to new reports, Samsung's 2-nanometer process is getting better, and the yield rate is now between 40% and 50%. In those sites, chip manufacturing, hitting around 60%, is usually seen as the point where you can start mass production confidently. Samsung aims to begin producing the Exynos 2600 in large volumes by November 2025, which gives them several more months to push those yield numbers higher. If they can do it, there's a strong chance we'll see the Exynos 2600 inside at least some of the Galaxy S26 models next year. Now, let's compare that to what Qualcomm is doing. Qualcomm uses TSMC, a rival chip maker that is currently ahead when it comes to 2-nanometer chips. TSMC has reportedly already passed that 60% yield mark. They're making the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is Qualcomm's latest and most powerful chip right now, and it's already going into many top-end Android phones. So while Qualcomm might have a head start, Samsung is clearly working hard to catch up. Here's where it gets interesting. Samsung often does something called a chip split. That means they sell the same phone model with different chips depending on where you live. For example, they might sell a Galaxy S26 with the Exynos 2600 in Europe, but in the US, it might come with a Snapdragon chip instead. They've done this before, most recently with the Galaxy S22 series, so it wouldn't be a surprise if they did it again. At the same time, the fact that Samsung is continuing to invest in its own chip-making process shows that it hasn't given up on Exynos just yet. It also suggests Samsung wants more control over its own hardware instead of relying so much on Qualcomm. And if the Exynos 2600 delivers good performance and better battery life, this could mark a big step forward for Samsung's chip division. Can a small battery change really improve your daily phone experience? With the Galaxy Z Flip 7 coming soon, that's the question people are asking, especially if you've been thinking of switching to a foldable. Now, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 is expected to launch this summer, and while it might not look very different from the Flip 6, some key internal upgrades could make it more useful, especially when it comes to battery life and charging. So, what's new? Let's begin with the battery. If leaks are true, Samsung is increasing the battery size from 4000 mAh on the Flip 6 to 4300 mAh on the Flip 7. That's the same size bump they made from the Flip 5 to the Flip 6. And while 300 mAh might not sound like a big deal, that extra capacity can go a long way, especially when combined with a better processor. The Flip 7 is expected to run on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, sometimes called the Snapdragon 8 Elite. This chip is not just faster, it's also more efficient, meaning it uses less power during everyday tasks. So when you pair that with a bigger battery, you're looking at better overall endurance. For comparison, the Flip 6 managed to deliver around 16 hours of web browsing, 9 hours of video streaming, and over 10 hours of gaming and testing. That gave it an average battery score of about 6 hours and 45 minutes. With the new hardware, the Flip 7 could push past 7 hours, making it a more reliable phone for all-day use. Still, Samsung is playing catch-up in some areas. For example, the Motorola Razr Ultra 2025 has a 4700 mAh battery, which clearly outpaces the Flip 7. But Samsung's software optimization is usually strong, so the difference in real use might not be as large as the numbers suggest. Now, let's talk about charging. Unfortunately, don't expect big improvements here. The Galaxy Z Flip 7 will likely stick to 25-watt wired charging, the same as the Flip 6. That means you'll get to about 50% charge in around 30 to 40 minutes, and a full charge will take just over 90 minutes. There's no sign of magnetic alignment or a new wireless charging system, though. So don't expect something like Apple's MagSafe. Samsung is keeping things simple for now. As for reverse wireless charging, yes, it's coming back. You'll be able to charge things like Galaxy Buds, smartwatches, or another phone by placing them on the back of the Flip 7. It'll likely stay at the same 4.5 watt speed, so this feature is more about convenience than fast charging. When it comes to the charger itself, you'll be using a USB-C cable with USB power delivery and PPS support. The good news is, you don't need a Samsung-branded charger. Many third-party brands like Anker, Ugreen, or Baseus will give you the same charging performance as long as they support USB PD and PPS. But remember, Samsung won't include a charger in the box,